Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be making a nice looking snake for Halloween. Happy Halloween everyone. So as you can see, it looks very real, going all the way down, and it's rather large. So if you have a look at it, it's probably about, if you stretch it out, maybe 3.5 meters long. Now you can make it in any shape or size that you want. The principle that I'm going to show you is exactly the same, and the equipment will be exactly the same. You can make any kind of snake. This particular one is a jungle python. The one I'm going to be showing you how to make is going to be a carpet python. This is a very cheap and easy decoration to make and very attractive. So what you're going to do to start off with, you're going to just roll the design on one side of the piece of paper of what you would like your head to look like. So make sure that you leave a long neck, because that's going to be inserted into the newspaper to form the body so that it's all in one piece. Now all you have to do is fold it in half and then cut it out, and you have a template for what your head looks like. So I folded it in half now, and all you do is you cut it out. And you open it out, and that's what your head will look like. Now you have to just transfer that onto your polystyrene. So put it on the polystyrene and then just trace around it. And there you have your design. Now I just use a little small sharp knife like this, and then I'm going to just cut it out. So starting and just, I like to make it just a little bit bigger so that I can shape it better afterwards. When you're working with polystyrene, please wear a mask and try and work outdoors because it goes everywhere. So now that your piece is cut out, you're going to take a rasp and start smoothing it out to shape the head how you want it. So just start shaping it. When you're shaping it, try and go at a 45-degree angle so that you start making the top part of the head go round. So we're just taking off all the sides. The same on the other side. And just keep going with the rasp until you're happy with the shape. So once you're happy with the shape, now take a file and file it smooth. And just continue sanding it. So once you're happy with your head, it's now time to work on the body. So for the body, you're going to take some newspaper and masking tape. You've got your piece of newspaper, so you're going to be just folding it in half, and then we're going to start rolling it so that the inside edges are all on the inside. So we've got a smooth section to work with. Then we're going to take the head and place it on the inside like that, and then put your masking tape on to seal it in. So make sure that the newspaper goes all the way around it, and then just put your masking tape on. Now you can make whatever shape that you want. it doesn't really matter. And snakes always start a wee bit thin here, and then they start bulking out as they go down the side. Just so that it's a smooth finish onto the head for when we put the cement on. Just tape it down again. So now you can see it's a little bit squishy, so what we're going to do is we're going to start bulking it up on the inside with more newspaper. Once again, just fold it in half and bring the edges in so that you've got smooth on the outsides. And then insert your piece. And then you can start buckling it and bending it to whatever shape that you want by just adding more newspaper to the shapes and then putting masking tape on so that you can get the shape that you want. So just keep adding. So when you're adding on the inside, what I do is I take the newspaper and I tear it in half, and then I crunch it up a little bit, making sure that the edges are still there so that we can insert it and the edges are all on the inside, so I can start getting it a bit fatter. And then you put your masking tape on to just hold it all together. As I said, you can make it as long or as short as if you want. So this one is not going to be a very, very long one. So now I've filled this whole section of the newspaper up. So now what I'm going to do, once again, is I'm going to take another full length and fold it in. This time not quite in half, in thirds, because it's got a bit fatter now. And we're going to just add that piece to this one. So what we're trying to do is get a flat base at the bottom here. And now we're going to start filling this piece of newspaper up. And just keep filling it until you've got a nice thickness or girth. So I've reached the length that I want to go. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting the last piece of newspaper on. And now remember that when you're doing this, it's always a good idea to actually work on a reference picture. However, I'm very lucky because I have snakes that I just copy. So I don't need to work up the reference pictures. So now, remember that when you're getting down to the end, the snake tapers off to a thin tail. So just bear that in mind when you're doing your snake. And it doesn't matter the length of the tail, because you get male and female ones, which you've got a short tail or a longer tail. So it's up to you what you want to do. So just keep going. So when it comes to the tail, try and get it so that it's a bit sharp and very small at the end. So roll the newspaper quite tight at the end so you get a really nice sharp point that comes to the tail. just to make sure that you get a point, take your masking tape and shape it a bit tighter around the tail and continue it past the tail so that you get a really nice sharp point. So you've got a nice point at the end. Now, as I said, from, let's see, the tail, which is there, you've just put all your papers together until you get to the head. As I said, it's not a very, very big one, but it's at least 2 meters or so, this one. Now, start shaping it into the shape that you actually want. So, turning it over. Now, we've got the top part, and then we start bending it and putting the masking tape on, how we want it to hold. So I want the head to be bent just a little bit like that, so I'm going to just put a piece of tape there to hold it a wee bit like that. And then I want the body to go out a little bit. Like that. So all you're doing, you put a piece of tape there and another piece there. Don't worry about it if it pulls apart like it is doing at the moment, because when you put the cement on, it's going to hold it a lot better. This is just to give you a preliminary idea of what shape that you want. And that's pretty much what shape I'm going for. So it's got a bit of a bend there, and then it's going, and it's got another kink going down that way, another kink going that way, and then the tail is coming around this way. Now it's time to start our concrete. Please wear gloves when you're working with cement, because it tends to be rather hard on your skin. So what I've got is a very watery consistency of cement, and what I'm taking an old sheet and cutting it up into strips. The strips are 5 centimeters long. I find if you work in small strips it's easier. So what you're going to do is you tear them all up, and then you're going to put them into your cement water. Let them absorb all the cement, and then you start. So once the material has absorbed all the cement, then you start working by bandaging your snake. So starting at the neck and just working it around as like a bandage. So I've placed it so that the head is going up and the body is flat on the floor. But as I said, you can choose whatever position that you want. You can even have it curled up and have it placed at your front door. Now you'll notice I haven't actually done the tail with the material, because that we're going to go and do when we do our next layer of cement. So the next layer of cement that we're going to be putting on is a really, really nice thick consistency, so it's easy for us to mould and shape. So now we start applying the cement. So while we're waiting for the cement to dry on the snake, we're going to work on the tongue. So I've got a plastic bottle. Now I like to always do a little bit more than what I need, so that if I cut and I don't get a good cut, I've got extra. So now the snake's tongues are normally a bit white underneath. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint, I'm actually going to paint that whole section there white, and then we're going to wait for that to dry. So the paint is now dry. Now we're going to cut out the tongue. Now take it really slow and easy, because this is the hardest part of the whole project of making this snake, is to get that little tongue. So I like to hold the bottle and try and get the corner started to get like a really thin, really thin. I find using these little tiny nail scissors actually work quite well, because it gives you a really nice thin cut to it, which is the tip of the tongue. As I said, go really slow, because the scissors do tend to slip and then you get a big chunk taken out. So we've got one piece of the tongue cut so far. Let me try and get another side done. And keep going right to the end of your bottle, because you're going to use, maybe you want a long tongue, maybe you just want a short one, so just keep going right to the end of the bottle. And there's your tongue cut out, ready to be used. So put that aside until such time as we need it. So the size of the tongue from there to there is about 2 millimeters. So our snake is dry now. That's what it looks like. If I find that you have some rough pieces like that, take a 240 grit sandpaper and just sand the little ridges off. So as you're probably aware, pythons come in a whole range of different colours. This particular one I'm going to be doing the similar colour to my one, which is a blonde carpet python. My others are the normal carpet python, which are the darker ones. This one I want to do quite light. So what I've got is an off-white colour, and that's going to be the base coat that we're going to be putting onto the entire body, underneath as well, just to give us something to paint over on later. So now I've got a biscuit colour paint, and I've got raw umber and cream, and I've mixed the two of them together to give me this colour brown, because that's what the colour of my blonde python is. So taking the cream or the biscuit colour, just do random shapes all over it. Don't go too far down the sides, because the bottom part here, below that line, is all the light colour. Now with the raw umber and the cream colour, mix it together to give us that lovely brown there. Just add in the missing parts. So the paint is almost dry now. Now we're going to mix the next colour. So I've got Mars Black, and I've got Cobalt Blue, and I've got the Iridescent Medium again. So we're just going to take a small amount of each colour. So I've mixed them together to give me this bluish grey colour, which is iridescent. Now what you do is you take that colour, and where the two colours meet, you just do little stripes, zigzag stripes around it to darken it. And just continue and do all of them. So now I've taken some of the cobalt blue and the medium and just mixed it together, and I've got a sponge that I'm using, and we're just going to take a wee bit like this, and then we're going to just dab it on. And you'll see it gives it a really, really nice shine. That's what it's looking like so far. So now we're going to be working on the face. So I've got a really small paintbrush like that. And I've cream. Now I'm just using some raw umber. For the eyes we're going to be using jewellery stickers, and I've just got some round rhinestones. So I'm just cutting one of the rhinestones off, and I'm going to put it onto the eye. And then we're going to take some of the black and just put a stripe on it. So now I'm just adding a bit of the colour to her face. Now we're going to add the tongue. So I've just got a very, very small pair of nail scissors, and you're going to try and poke a hole just in the middle of her mouth. Now we're going to take the tongue that we made earlier and insert that. So now measure how long you want the tongue to be. So I think that would be a bit long, so I'm going with the tongue that length, so I'm going to just cut it off now. Last final step that you do is just take some liquid floor polish and coat it all so that it makes it waterproof. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe so I can put out more how-to videos for you to enjoy. Once again, thank you so much for watching and happy Halloween, everybody.